Hey guys, Kelsey Wiebe from Rediscover You here, and today I wanted to quickly talk to you about what not to do after possibly having a binge, or maybe going to a party and feeling like you way overate, or just any time where you felt uncomfortable. Maybe you emotionally ate, or just where it felt like food was kind of out of your control. And I don't know about you, but for me, especially on weekends, like I'd be doing so good all week, right? I'd be making sure that I was following my meal plan, my meal prep. I was having lots of vegetables, and I felt really good about the way I was eating all week. And then Friday, I would have a friend who would invite us over for drinks or for a time to get together, which was exciting. But I clearly remember there was this one Friday, I had gotten all dressed up. I was feeling really good about my body. I went out to this party, and I remember there was these Nutella baked just these baked Nutella things that she made. It was amazing. Nutella is one of my I love it. But basically what happened is I had it in my head that the only way I could control my eating, especially when I was at a party, when it was buffet style, when there was all these somewhat, forbidden foods or foods that I shouldn't have that were just out on the table, my strategy at the time was to not let myself have the food at all. I had it in my head that the moment I ate that food, all hell would break loose. That all of a sudden, I knew that this compulsiveness in me would then not be able to stop eating. But of course, this was something that she had just made, and everyone around me oh, these are amazing, you've got to try it. Oh, it's just one won't hurt you, you're fine. And so I did. I had one of these little Nutella bite, whatever it was, and it was incredible. It was amazing. And before I knew it, I had another, and then another. And then I was sitting there just waiting for everyone to go outside, to go, out drinking and to go and have conversation, so that I could sneak back in the kitchen and keep eating and eating. And then I eventually found a spoonful, and I was spooning the Nutella into my mouth. I just hiding there in the kitchen like this. I'm telling you this, obviously, I had a problem, and I now realize what some of that issue was. But for you, what I want you to recognize is the biggest issue that I had is it's all how I reacted the next day. Okay? So number one, I just want you to understand, if you struggle with overeating, if you struggle with binge eating, if you struggle with feeling out of control with your eating, I've been there. I've done it. I've been the little gremlin, who just can't be satiated, who can't be satisfied, who's a bottomless pit, who's just hiding in the kitchen so no one notices. I've been there. I've done it. I get it. But here's the biggest thing that I have learned and how I have found food freedom, which I never thought possible. I never thought that I could be in this place where I could go to a party, I could have a cookie and not want the whole tray. Legit. It actually is possible to go to an event, to eat foods that are not ordinarily nutrient dense, and to not lose control. So part of it is what I want you to recognize is everything's like a pendulum, okay? And so what I want you to do is, if you've found, especially over the weekend, if you find that you have overeaten, I want you to realize that what you may be doing as a reaction to your overeating may be more detrimental than what you realize, okay? So think of overeating as being on a pendulum, all right? So here I am on this swing. I've just overeaten, or I've binged, or I emotionally ate some ice cream, or whatever it is, right? I've overeating over here, all right? And so in my mind, when I would wake up after that moment or after that party, I'm feeling bloated, I'm feeling sick to my stomach, my digestion's out of whack, I feel like an absolute failure, I feel like just all this shame and guilt. And so in order to make up for that, in order to feel better about all this shame and guilt and that I feel, I would go to the other side and swing the pendulum here, and I would restrict myself. All right. Now I want you to realize restriction can mean a lot of things. And basically restriction could also mean, this part on this pendulum can also be purging. Okay. And purging, we may all get this idea of making ourselves throw up. It doesn't have to be that way. Purging can also mean over exercise. Purging can also mean laxatives. It can also mean just running for days, for miles on end to make up for that overeating. Okay. Also, restriction. Restriction doesn't have to mean that I'm fasting. Yes, maybe for me, I would always say, hey, I'm just intermittent fasting today. But really in my head, what I was doing is I'm not going to eat because I ate so much last night. Or maybe it's a diet being like, oh my God, I had all that sugar. I'm no more sugar. I'm done. I can never have this again. Or I would, any sort of like diet as far as like I would cut calories, or just being really conscious about restricting myself. And restriction can be physical, mental, or emotional. It could even be like, I'm not going out today because I feel so fat. All of these things are going to swing the pendulum in the opposite direction. But I want you to recognize is a pendulum is just going to keep swinging, right? So I have all this over restriction, this purging, and what it does is it actually sets off a whole bunch of survival mechanisms, natural survival mechanisms in our brain and in our body, like slowing our metabolism, like plunging our leptin levels, our satiation hormone, which makes us feel like a bottomless pit, which makes us feel like we can eat and eat and eat and eat and never get full. All of these things then eventually, maybe again, you can hold off for a week, and then eventually you're going to swing right back to overeating. And recognize that this is also a pattern, right? That this is now a habit. We're going back and forth. And so how do we break this pattern? What are we supposed to do if we've had this overeating session? Is we need to stop the pendulum. We need to come to this place where we can trust our body. And I know that sounds really scary, especially if you've been in this place like I was, where legit, if I tasted Nutella, if I tasted a cookie, I had to eat the whole tray. I had no control. But I promise you that this is actually possible. And the biggest thing and the first way to start slowing this pendulum down is by not overreacting, by not over-restricting, by not purging or over-exercising or having to make up for what you did or getting back on track. What I need you to recognize is we just need to slow this down. And how we do that is by recognizing that that was a one-time event. And the best thing we can start doing now is our next meal, our next morning, whatever it is, how can I nourish my body? How can I honor my body? All right, and really focusing on having a well-balanced meal, an adequate sized meal that leaves us feeling warm belly satisfied, because we want to get to this place where we can start trusting our body, where we can actually restore those internal hunger and fullness cues. This is a beautiful place to be, where you can intuitively know how your body needs to be fed, how your body needs to be moved, all the things that your body needs, because your body is on your side. Your body doesn't want you to be overweight. Your body doesn't want you to feel bloated. Your body wants to feel good. Your body wants to move. But the only way we can do that is by stop fighting it, by stop punishing it, restricting it, and by actually just letting it be nourished and let it do its thing, by letting go. And if you struggle with this, this is a hard place to be right off the bat, especially if you've been here for so long. All right, so if you want to learn how you can learn to trust your body, restore those internal cues, learn to rewire your brain so that you're no longer in this habit, in this toxic cycle back and forth, I would absolutely love to help you. I promise you, I've experienced this food freedom. I never thought this was possible. I've helped other clients experience food freedom where they are no longer controlled by food thoughts and they are able to live their lives and just thrive. And I want that for you. So if this is something that you would like help with, some guidance with, to understand how you can get back to this place of intuitively trusting and loving your body and letting it take care of you, then please go ahead, click the link down below, schedule a breakthrough call with me. This is a time for us to just sit down and really give you clarity on why you are having these urges, on why you feel like you don't have control, and what you can start doing specifically so that this can start slowing down. And honestly, for you to gain clarity on what this looks like, on the possibility of what food freedom even looks like for you, and how we can get you there as quickly and as painlessly as possible, because I promise you, it is possible. It is possible, and that is all I want for you. So go ahead, click the link below, book a call with me. I cannot wait to talk to you, and have an awesome rest of your weekend, guys. Mwah.